I'm Pierre Chan, and I own Supreme Auto Body.
Okay.
And we did all the body work.
Right.
Oh, and the paint.
Yes, and the paint.
I'm Hoover Chan. I'm a design manufacturer.
And well, John first.
I'm Jon Sibal. I'm an automotive designer. We work with multiple companies to create their visions and create renderings, and hopefully, comes to life.
All right. I'm John Lau. I'm the owner of the car, and been in Sema.
Yeah.
I've had a few cars in Sema before.
Yep.
And Devil Z is amazing. Love this thing, and love the team. This year's been amazing for the build.
So tell me a little bit about first your SEMA experience of how it's been so far. Like obviously, a Blue Z is very iconic in where it comes from that
Anime.
Yes.
Yeah, Wangan Midnight.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
Midnight.
Yep. So tell me how has the reaction been? Have people realized it's from Wangan Midnight like you hoped for, or do people kind of look at it like, oh, that's just a cool Z?
What do you guys think?
Well, everybody I see on social media has been calling it the Devil Z.
Yeah.
They don't even call it a Datsun. They don't call it a 240Z. They actually call it a Devil Z.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
So what?
John?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
No, I think the original intent of the car was, it started as just a fun rendering that we had done as a tribute to Devil
Right.
Z. And these guys approached me and they said, let's make that in real life. And I'm like, are you serious? Because it takes a lot of time and effort. And Mr. John Lau here said, let's even bring it to SEMA. I'm like,
Wow.
Really? Okay. So from just a fun concept for it to come to life, it's such an adventure and an experience like no other. So seeing our designs come to life with the help of this guy sacrificing sleep and their health.
Tons of work.
But,
So let me ask you, how much did you have to reinterpret? Because obviously a manga can make a car look like whatever it wants.
Sure.
It can be whatever it wants while still holding to like the original design of the Datsun Z. What did you have to reinterpret to make this a reality?
Yeah, I think the original concept was inspired by Devil Z, where we didn't want to stick, like it wasn't a replica of a Devil Z.
Right.
We want to have John's vision to have some input into personalizing the car to his own spec. I'll let John expand on that.
Yeah, though, I mean, the kit itself, though, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't know about the Devil Z when I first saw the render. I just saw John's render and I was like, fell in love with it immediately, because I was just like, whoa, that looked amazing. And but for my vision, like I wanted to, so I started getting into watching the anime and actually movies and the whole thing, and I was addicted. My God, I binge watched that like no other.
Right.
And then, so the car itself, like there was some things I wanted to add to, we wanted to keep the engine, an L series.
Right.
But we wanted to add like even more boost and make it incorporate like titanium parts, billet titanium parts. Hoover using his amazing engineering skills. Like if it doesn't exist, doesn't matter. He can create it.
Right.
So we have like carbon ceramic brakes.
Okay.
On a 71Z.
Wow.
And these are like Porsche quality.
Okay.
So they're really good.
So are these just a custom hat with like a Porsche rotor on it, or
no?
So this is completely custom.
Completely custom. We even designed like I wanted to personalize it, so I even said like, let's even make our own logo.
Okay.
So that we even have a pitchfork logo. That's all the emblems you see they're illuminated, but they're also billet, and we designed our own pitchfork logo, and it's all throughout the car because the whole car is billet CNC. Even the strut tire bars are made from billet titanium. Okay. So there's like no welds on there.
Okay, that's interesting.
At all. Yeah.
So this is more than just an inspiration build. This is like how can we make the Z the best it can be?
It's a Devil Z supercar. Yeah. Even the exhaust sounds exotic. We run
that's much credit to all these guys that do a lot of like exotic features, like titanium stuff.
Right.
Let's go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, I was going to say because machining titanium is not easy.
No, there's not enough. People always ask me, do you machine in-house? We actually machine next door.
Okay.
But even there's 5 CNCs in there, that's not enough to take on a project like this or any project. Because if you have 20 parts you're machining, you only have 5 CNCs. There's
Right.
15 parts not getting machined. So I have to find enough vendors that have enough bandwidth to build this car.
Right.
So we send our files wherever they need to go to, and all the parts come in boxes every single day.
Right.
I'm probably the biggest Wangan midnight nut in the entire. Yeah, I literally watch it like every single day.
Nice.
Right.
I call him Akio sometimes.
Yeah. So when I had the chance to build this car in collaboration with these guys, and I've known John's drawing
Right.
for forever, I said, wow, why not? But I thought it was supposed to be SEMA 2025.
Oh.
Surprise.
Oops.
So, surprise, we just zapped a year and a half away from you, and I said, okay, let's go, let's do this.
Right.
So it was all hands on deck. I was on my computer, and a couple of my drafters were on their computer every single day,
Right.
designing all these parts. The valve cover was something that
Billet valve cover.
Right.
The valve cover, the intake manifold was something that's one-off. The brakes are one-off. The brakes I sized accordingly 3 times because, hey, Works is sponsoring the wheel. I'm going 18s. So I guess we can make it a little bit bigger.
Right.
But we finished the first set of brakes already.
Oh,
Then the
gosh.
second set came from Works bolt pattern that we had to meet it.
Right.
So once again, we had to redesign it a second time.
Wow.
And my one of my mechanics said, we've got 2 millimeters in there. Fine, let's do it a third time. So all the parts and the emblems on the car, they're all bespoke. They light up. They represent the pitchfork that he wanted. They're
Right.
on the dash, the center console. It's on there, and we wanted to bring the devil to life.
Yeah. So how much 3D scanning technology did you have to use to make all this work correctly?
The entire car.
Okay.
We
Everything's.
actually did that 4 years ago.
Yeah, we did it
Okay.
years ago, and we found someone local that actually had a Z car sitting on floor jacks.
Wow.
And we only dropped the car once, right? And we scanned the car, and from there, it just took time to draft the car into a CAD surface
Right.
model that we could design his flare. So John uses he's modeling and creating these renders.
Right.
We had to go back and forth on Zoom calls to shape the curvature to meet the wheels. Yeah, the way that he wanted to. And it was a lot of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
But that's why the car's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, his
really is
design work
beautiful.
is excellent. His design work is absolutely excellent, and it's so special. So getting to bring something to life, it's incredible.
Yeah. So John, obviously you had a lot of material to be able to kind of draw inspiration from that manga. But also, what other things do you draw inspiration from in Devil Z to create Devil Z from your sketch?
I think just being a fan of motorsport in general, that really helps a lot. Specifically for this project, I went back and looked at the older race cars from Japan, obviously,
Right.
and how they designed the fender flares and refined that into our own, spec and ways of how we feel like, it flows with the rest of the body. But
Right.
a lot of it are very, very specific to like the era of like how it was done back in the days. We didn't
Right.
want to go too modern into the design, but enough balance from modern to the, tribute to the past,
Right.
basically. But Pierre over here was really the one that convinced me, let's do it, because in the beginning I'm like, nah, it's okay. It looks cool as a rendering. I don't
Right.
know how it's gonna look as a
Real car.
but Pierre, Hoover, and John made it happen, and now Ineos giving us space to even showcase our work. Man, can't say thanks enough for all that stuff.
So Pierre, let me ask you a little bit about the paint and body work.
Yeah.
So obviously, a car this old is never going to be perfect, no matter where you'll find it. Like it could be garage store, but there's always like maybe minor scratches and stuff like that. How much body work did you have to start with first to make this correct?
Actually, yeah, that's actually very interesting that you asked, because we started off looking for donor cars, and everything that we looked out there was just, these cars are
buckets.
known
Right.
to be rust buckets, right?
Yeah.
So, and even though we weren't supposed to have it done by SEMA 24,
Right.
it was still a lot of work, and it's
Yes.
near impossible. So John said, hey, why don't we find a better body car?
Right.
So we found one that was it looked like it was pristine,
Wow.
mint condition. It was actually a very expensive car to buy, and we started off with that. But even then, when you start getting down to it, you start cutting down the paint, you find all the stuff that's in the nooks and crannies that you don't normally see.
Yeah,
so we
for
ended up
50
having
years.
to do
Yeah.
not a whole lot. I mean, there's still quite a bit of rust in there, but it wasn't so much, where you had to almost replace the entire car. But so we had to do that. The body was pretty straight, but it's a 50-year-old car, so we had to block the entire car.
Yeah.
I think we blocked this entire car at least 8 times.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just on and off in primer and just reworking the whole thing until it's perfectly straight, so that we can get that mirror finish in the end in 0 waves.
So how did you come up with the paint to match the Double Z? Did you actually scan a manga, color manga, to get the color, or is this something you actually had to come up with in your head?
Yeah. So we just had the rendering and John.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I was just. I'm really into colors. If you see my other builds, like every single color, I either make a bespoke color or I'm inspired by something. And then this, I wanted to, keep the midnight blue of the original Devil Z, but I wanted to have a modern pop.
Yes.
And so I was looking around for, just scouring the, Instagram for like, colors, and Porsche PTS San Marino Blue Metallic just spoke to me. I just like, it glows and it's a complex color.
Yeah.
It pops, it's modern, it's also classic all in one. And so I was like, let's do this one. I just felt it. I got chills when I saw it. I said, this has got to be the color.
Okay.
And one thing about it, it's actually like, it's weird. The car reacts opposite to what you think. In the bright sun, it actually eats the light away. It turns dark.
So it's almost like creating a matte color of sorts.
No, it's like it's almost like a void, a black void in certain parts, and it brings out the lines. So being the Devil Z, I thought it had a sinister effect. And I was like, this is it. That's why we call this car completely cursed and haunted.
So you said that there's bespoke lighting on the car as well, especially right there on the quarter emblem.
You see the center console too.
Oh yeah, there's lighting going straight through it with a trident.
Pitchfork and the center console.
Yeah, I can see that from right here, and it's an amazing amount of lighting. But what made you want to do that? Why not keep it like a classic emblem, not so much modern LED technology going into the interior of the car and exterior?
Because we're creating something from scratch.
Okay.
And so I wanted to make something even more sinister and more like fun than like even the anime itself. I mean, anime is still going to be the best, but I gotta strive for something unique too.
Right.
And that's why we added like NOS in there. And the NOS, we even have bespoke lighting in where the NOS purges out from the hood. So it shoots a mist, but it actually lit up in red.
Right.
Too. And also, because of that bespoke lighting, when in the dark, when you look inside the cabin itself, it's a red glow. It looks like Dracula's coffin.
Gotcha.
So it looks like hell. Yeah, it really is.
So let me ask you potentially a hard question or potentially a goofy question. Why not start with if you're going to make this an interpretation, why not try and find a newer Z, like a 370Z or even a new Z? What made you want to go with a Datsun over a modern Nissan at that point?
Oh, I like the older stuff more. I don't know, just
a classic car guy.
I mean, I have modern cars too, but for the Devil Z, this was it. This was the shape, This is and also, I mean, it's also John's render. Like I said, I fell in love with it right away, And the car is very modern now. I mean, the car is stitch welded. It's like we even use lizard skin inside. Pierre's team did an amazing job, covered everything inside. So now it's sound deadening and thermal protection, and it's all paint match, even undercoating. I mean, they even did sheet metal around all the fender liners and everything. It's sealed. It's a race car too.
Yeah.
So there's something cool about bringing something 50 years old, but again, it's like almost like a modern day retro looking supercar.
Right. Yeah. So John, I want to ask you this. I know it's always special to see a rendering of yours come to life, but tell me more about how you feel about this car coming to life, because like you said, it wasn't a short process with this one.
Right.
It took a much longer time.
I think getting into the build with this guys, as Hoover mentioned earlier, we had to go back and forth in refining even the contours of the fenders itself, because I feel like a lot of builds can just create a fender flare on their own, but in my eyes, there's a way to do it properly, and the contours and the profile of the fender flares really, I think, is the key to everything. So we cannot overlook that, and I think Hoover and Pierre, with their patience, with all my revisions, were able to execute exactly to the T. I was just telling them earlier that I do have other designs in the past that have come to life, but they're not as I thought I asked how I would have expected to look, just because some of the, because of engineering, reasons to change it and stuff. But
yeah, like a lot of concepts we see even in modern cars, they don't always come out looking exactly what you expect.
Always different from the production version.
But this one is much closer to what you've rendered.
Yes, so it's one of those rare moments where you see the real car and you're still pinching yourself to see if it's a real thing or just still a rendering that you're looking at. So I'm very happy and proud of this guys for doing such a good job.
All right, so Pierre, I'm going to ask you a little bit about the interior now. As you mentioned, who is the interior guy? Hoover?
It depends which part.
I was going to talk about the material choices.
Oh.
I guess that would be more you then.
Yeah.
So you said you mentioned the lizard skin, but what made you want to go with the materials you have, and what materials are you using?
Yeah, so inside, so one thing, the donor car is only 55,000 miles. It's very clean, right? So some of the parts I did want to keep original because it's a flex, just to have. If you look at my dash, I challenge you to find a imperfection. There is none on there. So I wanted to have that. I love those curves on it. Oh my God, it's amazing. And it was well beyond its time, and it's timeless too.
Yes.
And so I wanted to build upon some of the classic features of the 240 itself, and then take it to the next level. So it's the original dash, but all the gauges are pimped out. We spent hours specking every single check engine light color and the color of the arrows, the numbers, everything, the colorway, it all ties in. It's dark blue and blood red. I wanted, and the material itself, the Devil Z had Recaro seats. I needed Recaro seats. So I bought brand new Recaro seats and just ripped off that material and put in all Ferrari leather and Alcantara. And then even the stitching, we wanted to have the crocodile stitching, like the traditional, but you see it's I kept it black and red stitching, but again, it's all Ferrari material. So like I said, there's some exoticness to the car. Even the way it sounds, the way Hoover's team fabbed the exhaust, Canton Lee, who is part of Turbo Hose's team. He made an amazing exhaust that starts from a 3.5-inch downpipe into this amazing formed titanium exhaust that comes out with 2 4-inch tips and the O2 dump down the middle. Really, when it rips, it sounds like, honestly, it sounds Pagani-esque, to be honest. It sounds like my friend's Pagani.
So, Vuvi, tell me a little bit about the engine now. What other work did you do to it besides giving it that more modern feel that he was looking for?
Well, we actually rebuilt the entire engine. We started off with the engine that we received, and John said, I'd want to get a little more horsepower eventually. So he says, I said, oh, okay. So
the devil possessed me.
So I'm like, right now, today? So sure. So early on in the process, we had a head machined by L-Spec, and a CNC machine imported, polished the head. Later down the line, we redid the entire bottom end and rebalanced it, reboarded it a little bit larger. So now he's kind of like a 3-liter and not a 2.8 anymore.
L30.
Yeah, so all the head gaskets that we have, they're custom made by Cometic, and they did a rush job for us to get everything over here. And then we reset cam timing as well for more of a turbo engine. And it's pretty hard because we didn't have all the components that we originally wanted to. But, a little old school ingenuity, a couple of degrees here on top, on bottom, we got the engine timing that we wanted. So that motor is completely fresh now with a completely fresh head. And then the one key is we had to gap the rings accordingly because when he wants to go power, power means that the ring gaps have to be correct and they don't close so much.
Right.
So we kind of asked him like, here, where is your point that you're happy or not happy? Because wide ring gaps mean a lot of boost. Wide ring gaps means also a lot of blow by.
Right.
So he said about here, but the car has no blow by. Right now. Yeah. So it's connected to a CD09 6-speed transmission. A tubular exhaust manifold. The intake manifold is complete full CNC.
Right.
I cap molded it. I did a flow analysis to see where all the what it would do at certain amount of pressures.
Right.
It's drive-by-wire. That's why the engine bay is so clean. You don't see any wiring in the engine bay.
Right. So let me ask you. You've had a chance to drive it since all that's been tuned, correct?
Yes, we had to do a shoot with Larry Chan before the show, which was kind of scary.
Kind of scary because it's a brand new car.
You know, so I mean, it drives smooth. It feels like a modern car, even the way the doors open and shut. Because I did drive the car even before we did any work on it.
Right.
Because it drove and it felt like a tin can. Now it feels solid and smooth. The way that it turns with the power steering, because it's power steering too. Oh, it's a dream.
Is it hydraulic power steering or electric?
Electric.
Oh, it's electric. Okay.
Yeah, it's super good.
Air conditioning too. Air conditioning.
Oh, you got AC.
We put in air conditioning.
Now, are you driving the air conditioning off the belts, or are you going? Okay. Because I know you can get a modern one nowadays.
Electric.
Yeah.
Hindsight, probably maybe we'll upgrade to that.
Okay.
But so far, it's working.
Good. Yeah, that's good. So I guess we can go ahead and close out now. How can we find each of you online? Like if somebody not just wants to maybe commission you guys to do a build, but see the builds you're working on right now so people can just see what you guys are capable of. I guess we can start with Pierre.
Sure. You can find us on Instagram, _Supreme Auto Body.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Hoovy?
Instagram at Turbo Hoses.
Okay.
With the S at the end.
Jon Sibal. That's pretty much it.
Pretty easy.
He's famous.
Yeah.
Just famous.
I mean, my Instagram Pikachu Pcar.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, that's a good way.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, I appreciate it.